Hello guys, and welcome to today's video. And today's video is going to be all about Call of Duty 2020, and more specifically we're going to be personally I'm going to be doing a wish list, as in what things I want to see in Call of Duty 2020 without knowing any details at the moment of the game really. But we do have like leaks and rumors, so that will kind of play into what I'll be talking about today, and I'll kind of discuss that a little bit here in the video. But yeah, so I want to do a Call of Duty 2020 wish list kind of video, and you guys can join me in the comment section below, even now or at the end of the video. Put down below one thing that you want to see in Call of Duty 2020. And yeah, so one thing you're seeing right now as well, just before I go into this, in the background you will be seeing a 10 kill solo win with my grau class setup. So if you haven't seen that video, feel free to check it out. It's a pretty insane setup, and you'll see in this gameplay that it definitely does the business. But yeah, it's a 10 kill solo win. This is also the solo playlist, like the normal one, not the current game mode they currently have out. So yeah, enjoying that in the background. And let's get into it. Let's talk about Call of Duty 2020, kind of like leaks, rumors for a little bit, and then we'll go into like the wish list and what I kind of want to see in it. So let's get into it. What are the leaks and rumors right now? We haven't had nothing official so far, which is quite interesting, because normally you start to see like quite hard evidence, quite hard facts coming out about the new game, and so far we're just holding on to, we're grasping at straws here. You know, we've heard, hearing things from people like the Gaming Revolution, who was known, you know, for leaking Modern Warfare. He leaked a lot of things about Modern Warfare before it came out, and most, I'd say 99% of it was true. And going from basically his tweets and things that he said, there's a lot of like emphasis on this game being Call of Duty Vietnam. Now, not Call of Duty Black Ops 5, okay? Now, first things first, before anyone, if you didn't know, the game is probably being made by Treyarch. Now, I say probably because I don't remember seeing any information saying it was confirmed, but I do believe Sledgehammer was supposed to have the game, but then they got into a mess with Raven about the campaign, and the game wasn't going well. So apparently Treyarch took over. Again, this is all apparently. I haven't seen any hard like facts about this. But basically, we're expecting this to be a Treyarch game that's being helped develop by Sledgehammer, by Raven, etc. So yeah, this is a Treyarch game, and it's going to be supposedly called Call of Duty Vietnam. Now, what can we expect with that? What can we expect when it comes to a Treyarch game and something like Call of Duty Vietnam? So one thing with Call of Duty Vietnam would be, I'd expect it to be somewhat similar to Black Ops 1. Now, not exactly similar, like, I don't know if we'll see, you know, things like perks and that. Again, I'll discuss that in this video. I'll talk about what I want to see, and then what we could possibly see. But yeah, we could see something similar to Black Ops 1, like, as far as, like, the colouring, maps like jungle, something similar to that. Maybe the campaign will even be somewhat similar to Black Ops 1. That's if we get a campaign. So hopefully we do, though, because I do like myself some Treyarch campaigns. You know, Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2 had some pretty good campaigns. Black Ops 3, a little bit iffy, and then Black Ops 4 obviously didn't do one, but they do quite well with campaigns. Again, Black Ops 3 wasn't so good. That was a bit all over the place. But normally the campaigns are pretty good. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, Call of Duty Vietnam. So that's basically all the leaks and rumors, really. We've got nothing else. We haven't heard anything about guns, kill streaks, maps, no leaks whatsoever. Just supposedly the name will be Call of Duty Vietnam. So they've either done a really good job of hiding it from us, or the people who like to leak and that just haven't had any information whatsoever. So who knows? But yeah, so let's get to the point. I'm gonna go and kind of do a wish list sort of thing, and it's gonna be quite a lot of varying things, from gameplay to things outside of gameplay, and just things that you could see or possibly be added to Call of Duty 2020. So with Call of Duty 2020 or Call of Duty Vietnam, whatever you want to call it, there's one thing I want to see first. Okay, we're going to talk about the big elephant in the room that's kind of plagued Modern Warfare for that of the year, is the whole skill-based matchmaking argument. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say why it's bad or why it's good and blah blah blah, but basically, I think you all know that I'm not a big fan of skill-based matchmaking. But the one thing is, I wouldn't say to totally remove it. Now, you're probably thinking I'm crazy. You're probably like, Taz, what are you saying? Get rid of skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking is bad. Now, that's where you're wrong, okay? It's not that skill-based matchmaking is a bad thing. It's the level of skill-based matchmaking that you have is what makes it a bad thing. Basically, in Modern Warfare, it's pretty obvious that your connection is not prioritized compared to what skill of the opposition you are playing in your lobby. It's definitely more favored to who you're facing than your actual connection, and that's just a big no-no. Okay, the one important thing for all of gaming is to make your connection as good as possible, and if you're sacrificing that just to make sure that I play someone as good as skill as me, or someone slightly worse or slightly better, That's just not good, okay? That's not a good matchmaking system. That doesn't benefit anyone, because again, when the people who they are trying to protect, which is, you know, the new players, the players who aren't so good at the game, eventually they're going to get good at the game, supposedly, you know, that's how this whole system is supposed to work. They're supposed to get a feel for the game, then get better at the game. They're then going to have to deal with the same problems, and eventually they'll just leave the game because it's kind of frustrating, it's kind of annoying. So hopefully they can do something to make skill-based matchmaking not as prominent. I am expecting skill-based matchmaking to honestly be in the game now, because of how Modern Warfare has went and how much of a success it has supposedly been. Again, we don't have like hard facts really, but we can only go off what Activision have told us, which is that Modern Warfare has been a success, that it's the most sold game, it's the most played game. That's all we can go off of, and you know, that's a worrying thing to hear when you don't want to have skill-based matchmaking in the game, because basically they're going to have it in the game because they've obviously it's worked in Modern Warfare. But I'm not saying it can't be in the game, but the thing is, it's got to be toned down. You know, I have no problem with helping those players who are like either really bad at the game or new, or even those who, let's be honest, there are players who have like difficulties. Like some might have learning difficulties, or you know, they might have I don't know, dysformities or missing like thumbs, fingers, etc. You know, basically, being disabled makes it harder for you to play games if you know have certain disabilities that affect how you hold a controller, etc., etc. And those people deserve the right to play the game like everyone else, you know? So if they could have a skill-based matchmaking into such a way which it would help them from not being pub stomped by those who, you know, for instance as well, even if they do like have skill-based matchmaking, if it ends up that people start reverse boosting stuff, then it ruins their fun. You get what I'm saying? They need to have a better and longer hard think about how to do skill-based matchmaking. I'm hoping they've done something to try and make it fun for the good players as well as the bad players, because we want the best of both worlds. Whereas this year in Modern Warfare, I feel like they kind of like handed the game towards all the new people and kind of forgot about all those, you know, who continuously buy the game and play the game a lot. They've kind of like just shoved them to one side essentially. So yeah, moving on, next thing, what am I going to talk about? Maps. Okay, maps. That was another big talking point in Modern Warfare, was maps. Certain things like how many there was at the start, the way the maps were made, colors, etc., etc. So let's just wrap it all up in one. I think that we need 3-lane maps, but also those maps that aren't 3-lane, like they're not essentially, I'd call them random, but like just not 3-lane maps. So how would I feel like this should be done? Let's say they release 15 maps at launch. Now, do I expect that to be 15 maps? Gonna be honest, no. Not with how Call of Duty has been over the last few years. I think previous Call of Duties, like Black Ops 1, that we did have around like close to 15, at least closer to 15 than what we did like currently, which is we're getting closer to 10 when it comes to like 6v6 modes, 5v5, etc. So what I'm hoping for is they make a good balance. Oh, well, I say a good balance. I'd say more 3v3 maps than the more random maps, I'd say. So, for instance, let's say they made a lot more like jungles, nuke towns, etc. 3-lane maps, you know. And then they had maps like, I don't know, what's a map that isn't a 3-lane map? Let's take, I mean, obviously I don't want Stonehaven to be in, you know, for whatever reason in the next game. But let's say something like Stonehaven. Obviously not to that scale, but like smaller and basically like that. Just a more random map where there isn't 3 lanes. Let's say maybe 5 of those and 7 like 3-lane maps. Because honestly, I believe 3v3 3-lane maps are just are better maps in general, and most of the best maps in Call of Duty are 3-lane maps because it's just a system that works, you know. And Treyarch are normally a developer that likes to go with 3-lane maps, so I expect us to see 3-lane maps in Call of Duty 2020 or Vietnam or whatever. But yeah, so 3-lane maps, and then not only that, colors. Okay, the color scale's got to be a lot more brighter than what it has been in Modern Warfare. Again, I do expect Treyarch to do that correctly. I haven't had a problem in any of their games when it comes to like visibility and being able to see things. But in Modern Warfare, they've had a lot of... It's a big issue with trying to see enemies at certain distances because of like the scale of the game. Like grays on grays, you know. Say like a character is in a full green camouflage compared to like a green like field or something. They're very hard to see, you know. It does get very difficult, and especially with like things like dark corners as well in this game. There was a big problem with lighting that they had to like try and patch over and over again. They've got to a better point now, but it was a big issue at one point. And at the moment, as you can see with my gameplays, you do actually see that my colours probably pop out more than yours do. And that's because I had to turn the saturation up all the way up on my Elgato just to try and get these colours to make the game pop out more, essentially, and make it easier for me to spot enemies, because it is tough. It is tough to see people in this game in like certain situations because of the colouring and the dark corners. So hopefully Treyarch does a good job of that. I could imagine they would, again, with maps like Nuketown they've made, Raid, etc. I could imagine maps would be something similar of colour. Not too colourful though, because again, if it's in Vietnam, then we're not going to see too many maps that are like over the top colour. You know, we're not going to see any purples, we're not going to see any pinks. We're going to see, I'd say we'd see greens, reds and that, but just enough so that it pops out. And then what else do I want to see with maps? Overall, just a more variety as well. Again, like I said at the start of the, like when we got to the segment of maps, I'd like to see just a good set of maps, like enough maps from launch, not having to wait a month or so to get 2 more, 3 more maps. I want to see 12 to 15 maps to launch. You know, give us a variety, because this year they had a lot of maps in the sense that they had ground war, they had 6v6 maps. But the problem was, it did come at a cost. I believe there's only like 5 or 6 6v6 maps until they started adding some after the launch of the games. That's not very good, you know, for 6v6 to have only 6 or 7 maps to play. Not good at all. And then obviously they had their 10v10 maps, 32 vs 32, etc, etc. So they did make a lot of maps for different modes, but the problem is, when it comes at a cost for certain game modes, again, 6v6 didn't have a lot of maps, you know, it had less than 10. And that's just not good, you know, that's going to make the game very stale, and especially when 6v6 is pretty much the staple of COD. When I do believe, at least I think so anyway, you know, there's no facts to this, I do believe a lot of people play ground war more than anything, and we've probably only got about 5 or 6 maps, I believe, for ground war at the moment. They didn't actually add one for this season, which was quite surprising, because they did for the last like 2, but they didn't add one for this season. So hopefully Treyarch will release about 15 maps at the start. Say hopefully, I'm going to be honest, I'm probably expecting around 10 or 12 at the moment, because that's how Call of Duties have been for the last few years. But yeah, and on top of that, releases of maps, you know, a lot more releases, you know, 2, 3 maps a season at least, because then let's go on to another thing as well. As I say, seasons, I am hoping they do seasons, okay? Modern Warfare has had one thing which has been pretty good, which has been doing it as a season thing, as a season content. But not only that, when Treyarch go to do the seasons, I want them to like release the roadmap like at a specific time every time, because that's one problem we've had in Modern Warfare is communication, you know, being able to know things, because we like to know things, you know, we want to know what to expect, and it's something that's been a bit difficult in Modern Warfare is getting communication, especially on key topics like skill-based matchmaking, etc, etc. It seems like a I don't know how to put it. It's like we say stuff to them, but they don't listen. And hopefully Treyarch will do a better job of that. I'm sure they should or will. But again, we don't know, you know. They might listen when we're doing the beta and stuff. And then when the game comes out, they might just not listen at all. So I'm hoping it doesn't go that way. But we'll have to see. But yeah, one thing I'm hoping to see is seasons. I want to see the season pass come back. Well, not the season pass, as in the battle pass, sorry, not the season pass. So I don't want map pack 1, map pack 2, map pack 3. We're done with that. Okay, we're not doing this paid for map stuff anymore. I want battle passes, okay? I want to see, they probably will do the battle pass just because of the success of it for Call of Duty Mobile, as well as Modern Warfare. It has been a big success for them so far, and it's worked out quite well. And then apparently they've been doing well with microtransactions as well, with the way they got it set. And I'm okay with that, you know? I'm okay with how the shop is. I do wish the prices were a little bit lower on certain things, but maybe there's a reason for why they have to make those prices the way they are, because certain like things cost like 2,000 COD points or 3,000. I'm not being funny, but COD is a 1-year game, and you know, and things costing almost half the game or even 2/3 of the game is a bit expensive, you know. So hopefully they do the pricing of that right. But yeah, I want to see the season pass. Well, season pass, battle pass. Keep wanting to call it season pass. Battle pass. The battle pass was a great idea. I love it. And one thing with the battle pass as well is hopefully the content will be good. You know, I'm hoping they don't go the route that Modern Warfare did, which is they did add a lot of filler items. Okay. There's one thing they did do. The Modern Warfare Battle Pass has had a lot of filler items that nobody really wants, you know, like keychains, certain watches. You know, some watches are cool, but a lot of them are kind of useless, terrible watches, you know, like ones that tell you the time and that. It's like, do I really need that? Do I really care, you know? The one like the Tomagunchi, as they call it, that's a pretty cool watch, you know, that's something fun, that's interesting, and it was cool to have. I still haven't earned mine yet, but I'll get mine eventually. But yeah, those are cool ideas, you know. Give us like content basically that is worth having. Don't give us filler that you know we don't want. I don't see why like they do this. Why they make stuff that they know we're not gonna want. If we buy the battle pass and we go for 100 tiers, I want to see us get good content, you know? Like, you can do calling cards, but make them good calling cards. Don't make them like generic, you know, non-moving calling cards, like just like a green sky. I don't know, it's green sky, a blue sky. You know, it'll be like a blue sky with just a cat on it, and they'll just say, right, there you go, that's it, it's in the battle pass, and that's just not cool. You know, it makes it pointless. It makes you not wanting to do the grind to get stuff like that, and overall, it's just I want to see better content. And one thing they could start with as well, which is Modern Warfare did a good job with the weapons. The weapons have been coming out for free, so I'm talking about the new weapons, not the variants. I'm talking about the new weapons. So things like the grau, the Renetti pistol, they've all come out for free. Hopefully they keep that trend. Free pistols, free weapons for the entire of the game. You know, for the whole cycle. Do it every season. Release a few weapons here and there. So realistically, I think they should do it this way, which is if they're going to do 100 tiers, which they have done for Modern Warfare, and that's kind of what I expect. I'm hoping, now I don't know if it's something I'm asking which is like too much, but hopefully they do 4 weapons a season. They don't all have to be like assault rifles or SMGs, you know, you can do like a pistol, maybe a knife. I don't know if that really counts as a weapon. Like, the thing is with Treyarch, I expect them to do like different versions of melee weapons. We haven't really seen that too much in Modern Warfare, if at all, I believe. But yeah, one goofy little melee weapon. I say goofy, like something that fits the time if it's going to be Vietnam. You know, a pistol, assault rifle, a sniper, something like that. Just keep it fresh. 4 weapons, you know, you could do it as this. 1 at 25, 1 at 50, 1 at 75, and 1 at tier 100. That kind of makes sense to me, you know. I think that's a good idea. Let me know if you think that's a good idea down below, because I personally think that's a great idea. Again, we don't know how much like effort they're going to put into making content, but hopefully they do. But yeah, 4 weapons a season would be fantastic. Or 4 weapons in the battle pass. That is the free battle pass as well. I want to see the continuation of the free battle pass and the paid for battle pass, obviously. And yeah, that's kind of all for the content. Next up, I want to go into prestiging, you know, leveling up. How do we want that to be in this game? Honestly, the way it was done in Modern Warfare, I get what they were going with, but it's just not fun. You know, I don't know why they took it out. Call of Duty's always been a thing about prestiging. And prestiging has always been a massive thing in Call of Duty, you know, getting your new emblems. It's kind of like, I don't know how to put it. Essentially, in pubs, you don't get a rank, you know. Obviously, you only get a rank in League play, which is another thing we're talking about in a minute. But in pubs, your level is kind of your rank, you know. It shows off mostly how much you've played, but it can also show off how good you are. You know, if you were one of the first people to get Prestige Master, you're a pretty good player, or you're someone who knows how to play the game, essentially. And if you get that first within, say, like the first 3-4 months, people know how good you are, you know. It's essentially like showing off. And people like that, you know. I like to do that. I want to show off that, hey, I'm Prestige Master before all of you, whilst you're Prestige 3 or Prestige 6, etc. So, what I'm hoping for is they bring back prestiging. Prestiging needs to come back in Call of Duty 2020. It's been a big miss here in Modern Warfare, because once you hit level 155, and say you've done your battle pass as well, there's almost no point playing, you know? It feels very unrewarding. Yes, people will probably tell you, like, shouldn't you just be enjoying the game? Yes, I do enjoy the game from time to time, but when there's nothing to grind for, that does make the game just a little less, I don't know, fun. Like, there's nothing to expect. Once you finish a match, you know, and say you've done all your weapons and camos and stuff, you've got nothing to get. You know, there's no new level, there's no new prestige, there's no new thing coming out your battle pass. So hopefully they add back prestiging, cool little emblems as usual. You know, they normally knock it out of the park when it comes to prestige emblems. They're always pretty good. So yeah, hopefully they add prestiging back. That's definitely something that's been a big miss here in Modern Warfare. And yeah, what should we move on to next? Weapons. Now, I would love to sit there and say the generic comment of good weapon balance, but the problem is it's not that easy, you know. No, I feel it here for the devs, because it's not something that's easy to do. You can't just generically balance a game, you know. It's never going to be fully balanced from launch. It's never a thing, okay? Because certain weapons have certain things over other weapons. If every weapon behaved the same, you know, we wouldn't, I don't know, there'd be no, like, how do I put it? How would I put it? Like, weapons being unique, that's what I'm looking for. Weapons being unique, you know, and everyone would just say, you know, but make every assault rifle this fire rate, every assault will do this damage, you know. it just wouldn't be generic. You wouldn't have different weapons to play with, and there'd be no reason to use certain weapons over another weapon or something like that. So yeah, making the guns unique and be balanced is pretty difficult. It's something that's said every year in Call of Duty, you know, but eventually there's always a gun that sticks out and always pops out, and someone starts using it, and then everyone starts using it. For instance, this year, the M4, the MP5, and obviously the grau came out, but that was a little bit after the game came out. But to basically sum up, the M4 and the MP5 is pretty much the two dominant guns in the game from launch, and everyone started using them and abusing them. And I get it, and obviously there was the 725 as well, you know, that was a freak of nature gun that came out of nowhere, and I'm going to be honest, that's just Infinity Ward doing a very bad job. That gun should never have been that overpowered. So, hopefully Treyarch does a good balance at the start of the game, has a good, like, base level to start with, because there's going to be guns that are going to need nerfing, there's going to be guns that need buffing from start, and hopefully they just do a good balance of that. And on top of that, actually, whilst I'm talking about gun balance, something that will affect the guns massively, and I'm hoping they do change from what happened in Black Ops 4, is the health being at 100 and just having a normal Call of Duty kill time. And I say normal Call of Duty kill time, what do I mean by that? Like, what? Because a normal kill time to me might be a different normal kill time to you. So for me personally, I think the normal kill time should be something similar to Black Ops 2. And I know you're probably thinking, oh Taz, here we go, you want to make the game like Black Ops 2. If I could, guys, I would, but the kill time of Black Ops 2, I believe, was just the gold standard. You know, it's not too fast, and it's not too slow, you know, it's not too hard to hit that many shots in like a certain amount of time. And I believe it helps overall with like connections and stuff, you know, not being warriored, etc, etc. But yeah, a Black Ops 2 style kill time, 100 health, you know, balance the weapons around that. But the thing is, I don't know if Treyarch are going to do that. I don't know if they're going to go with a 150 health route. I hope they don't mess around with the SMGs like they did in Black Ops 4, which is, you know, they made them bullet travel, not instant. You know, it was an instant hit detection. It took time for the bullets to travel, and then they eventually changed that because the SMGs were massively underpowered because of it. You know, there was essentially like 2 SMGs you could use. So yeah, hopefully that's something they do. Hopefully they make the health a standard health for Call of Duty, 100 health, and just make the kill time, you know, normal. Black Ops 2 kill time, SMGs, you know, around 3, sometimes to 5, 6, 7, whatever you want it to be. Assault rifles about 3 to 5 as a kill time. Sorry, as 3 to 5 bullets to kill. And yeah, just overall, those are all my thoughts and like things that I want to see in the next Call of Duty, in Call of Duty 2020, Call of Duty Vietnam, whatever it's going to be called. And yeah, that's kind of what I want to see for Black Ops 5, Call of Duty 2020, Vietnam, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's kind of my wish list, kind of a few things that I wanted to bring up and hope they change or add or make happen in Call of Duty 2020. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I want you guys to leave in the comment section down below your thoughts and opinions on today's video. And then not only that, I want you guys to tell me one thing that you would want in Call of Duty 2020. One big thing that you want to change. Like, do you want skill-based matchmaking in the game? What do you want, like a new camo or something? Do you want a certain map to be brought back or something? Let me know down in the comment section below what you want to see in Call of Duty 2020. But yeah, this gameplay is going to finish up. I'll leave you with this game to finish out. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye!